cycle IGP. Now, what you do have to have is some data and some action steps, and you do have to become part of cluster. So it makes sense to go ahead and do what we're doing in cluster and with your team. If you have something else you want to work on and want to make that part of your IGP, you can do that, you can add it. But this is an example of what a goal would look like for someone that wants to follow our IGP with our cluster cycle 3 plan. So, or our cluster cycle 3 plan, this is the IGP. So hers is saying by May 12th, that's her last day of this 6-week cluster, students in fourth grade class will, in her fourth grade class, will increase reading proficiency during cluster cycle 3. I will move 1 student from red to yellow and 3 students from yellow to green. In addition, I will move 3 students from level R to S and 3 students from an S to green to a level T blue. So that's all about her data, that first part is. And what they realized, and when you look at your chart also, if they had kids in R in fourth grade, they're green. But if they stay in R in May, they become yellow. So you can't just let them stay there. Same with S was blue in January. It is green in May. So that means you would have kids falling out of that color band just by essence of staying where they're at. So she's going to try to push those kids to that higher level. So you're going to want to take a look at your levels there. That's why she did that. So the first part is all about students, and she's very specific on the kids in her class who she wants to move, and then now she's got names on those kids and could tell you who they are. So then the second part of the goal, though, is using academic feedback. She went to the rubric. I will circulate to prompt student thinking, assess student progress, and provide individual feedback. So if you look at the rubric behind you, we have those sticky notes are there for cluster cycle 3. All the highlighted ones are ones that we feel confident that we're going to be hitting on to make improvements in during this cluster cycle. And you'll see like some of them have a 3 and a 4 written on them. That references chunk 3 and chunk 4. The ones with the stars are the ones, this is what we're talking about. And notice we've highlighted the 5. There's bullets in the 5 on the rubric that don't get seen in 3 at all. So this bullet under thinking is not mentioned in 3, but listen to what it says. Students will monitor their thinking to ensure that they understand what they are learning, are attending to critical information, and are aware of the learning strategies they're using and why. That moves it to a 5. We now have students understanding this. The one in academic feedback, that there's 2 there. She had circulates in prompting. The one that she picked. The other one is teacher engages students in giving specific and high quality feedback to one another. So you want kids to start giving feedback to one another, not just you giving that feedback. That grouping students was kind of a surprise, but if you think not about just the groups you put them in, but that instructional groups facilitate opportunities for students to set goals, reflect on, and evaluate their learning. So you pick the area, and you can get up and take a look at the ones that we highlighted. We feel like we're really hitting these hard, and what's sliding us to that 5 is students' ownership. And you see it throughout, especially in those ones with the stars. So you choose the one that you want to work on. That's not going to be the same with your team, nor will your other goal, because all your students have different scores. So that's the first part. The next part then is action steps. I'll go through all the steps of this, and I'll let you guys work. The action steps come from the cluster cycle chunks that we've laid out. So in those chunks, you'll see teachers will. Those are action steps that we're going to ask you to do. Teachers will introduce a reading log to their students. Teachers will increase the volume of reading in their classroom. So she's saying your action steps, if I pre-assess my students in their independent reading level, that's today's action. That's what you're going to be doing this week. So you can pick out 3 or 4. You could do one for every single chunk because there is an action for every cluster. How do you think that that's going to impact students? Is the other side. So if you do what we say is happening in cluster, what will happen with students? That's the next part. The part that she didn't fill out, and I can help you when we meet, or is down here, the supports or resources needed. So are you going to use your teammates? are you going to maybe need to talk more and meet with that special ed teacher or title teacher? Because you have some red kids that you're saying you're going to take some responsibility and help move, but you need more information about their reading and to figure out how you can become more involved in their reading life. Do you want some modeling or co-teaching to be happening? Are there books you want to read or whatever? So whatever support you might need. Do you have any questions about how to kind of fill that out to your IGP? So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you some time to fill out the IGP, and then I'm also going to schedule a time to meet one-on-one with each of you so that we can sit down and look at it, and then if you have questions about getting it filled out or just kind of reflect on it before we get started. So between now and next week at this time, I will find a time to spend 5 or 10 minutes with each of you to kind of go over the IGP. So we'll let you get started now, and then we'll set a time. It'd probably be 2 days after, probably May 14th. Hers was Tuesday, and
It's our cluster time, so it's 14.
yeah.